Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm here with Mr. Tom Dembski to talk about running. Tom is a veteran runner and has participated in many long-distance events. Now tell me, Tom, how long ago did you begin running?
Oh, I ran in high school.
High school, that long? How many years was that, did you say?
Oh, well over 30 years ago.
30 years. That's a long time. Have you done it consistently?
Relatively consistently. I stopped for some time at one period, and then when my blood pressure went up, the physicians attempted to lower it by using medications, and it was to no avail. And then I thought that perhaps a good regimen of running might help, and so I really got into it.
It was a real incentive. Has it been effective, do you think?
Very effective. My pressure is, at this time, 114 over 70, and that's without medication.
That's great. You would say that running has improved your life. How about your lifestyle?
Well, when I'm training for a marathon or for a long-distance run, my wife always wants to know whether I think I'm single again. But outside of that, I think my lifestyle, if anything, has improved. A feeling of well-being and everything like that just permeates your life. If I don't run particularly, I feel morose and depressed if I can't run for any length of time. I think most runners experience that same.
I agree with you. I think I have heard that, and I noticed that myself. When you're not training for a marathon, approximately how many miles do you run a week?
Probably around 20 to 24 miles.
And how about when you're training for a marathon?
Well, in the last 3 weeks before this marathon, I ran 94, 82, and about 72 miles, respectively, each week.
That must be kind of hard on the shoes, I would expect. I see you have some new shoes on there today.
Well, they're new by about a month's standards, but they're already worn down on the bottom. I'm tough on equipment.
Tough miles. Talking about the marathon tomorrow, exactly how long is the marathon in terms of miles?
26 miles, 385 yards. It's the 385 yards that killed you.
This marathon is a little bit different than some that I've seen in that you're starting in Los Gatos and going over a considerable mountain and ending up in Soquel. Do you know the elevation of the mountain by any chance?
I think it's 1,800 feet or thereabouts. It's a grueler. The paper says, not for beginners, tough point-to-point race. I'm not in it for the race. I'm in it to complete it.
I see, I see. Well, I think you're a fairly competitive person, Tom. I think you're in it for the race. Would you care to hazard a guess as to how long it might take you?
I'm shooting for 4 hours. The last marathon I did was in Salinas, and I completed that in 3 hours and 34 minutes. That was a fair time for an old dog like me. But this one has considerably more hills, and it's going to be a grueler.
Have you been over the course at all? Have you looked at it?
Just done 17 with my automobile, and I know sometimes my automobile begins to rebel, and I know that I will rebel in a few points tomorrow.
I gather that it's mostly uphill in the beginning and to the summit, and then practically so downhill the rest of the time. Are there any plateaus along the way that you're aware of?
Well, there are. My son is going to run the race with me, and he's been up over the first part of it when he trained at Bellarmine in San Jose. He also knows the end part, which is very flat, and for about 3 miles, you wonder when it's going to end. Both he and I have traveled the same route by bicycle, and it was pretty difficult by bicycle, although we didn't have to really stop at any point in time. Sometimes running, I feel, is a little easier than making a grade by bicycle, for some reason. At least that's been my experience.
Why are you running the marathon? This is a philosophical question. I mean, obviously you're running it as to see if you can finish, of course. But what other reasons can you give me?
Well, It's a matter of elation when you finish, for one thing. The last marathon I finished, which was my first, it put me on hot for about 3-4 weeks, and it's just gratifying to know that when you're 50, or in that area, or in your 50th year, as I am, to be able to complete something like this puts you in about 2 to 3% of the country as far as fitness is concerned. And that's really the main thing. And of course it's a little matter of camaraderie. Dr. Deck is doing it, and Jean Feaster from the clinic, and her husband Bob, and her son Mark is doing it. My son is doing it. So there's a lot of spin-offs to it. It's just a social thing in some respects.
When you're just over the summit and you're starting to come down the other side, what do you suppose you'll be thinking about at that point?
Well, several things. One, I'll be glad to reach the summit. Two, I wonder if my knees will be able to take the downhill side, which is much more difficult on your knees than going up. And three, it's half over, half more to go. Will I make it?
Very good. Thank you very much, Tom, for your time, and good luck on your run tomorrow.
Thanks for coming in.
All right, Jim. How's Carol doing?
She's doing all right. She's a little nervous.
It isn't raining.
No, thank God.
Are you guys ready for this?
We are ready for this. You want teeth or what?
I don't care. Just no obscene gestures.
Yeah, I don't know.
Has that got sound too?
Sure.
Hey,
Tommy, what's your game plan?
I don't know. I got
Okay.
Okay. Did you get a
I
little?
got suckered into this.
Well, maybe it won't be.
I love it.
I got suckered into this by a guy who said, "Well, I just want you to get me up the hill." Well, he wanted me to do all the work, so
I see.
I guess it's get to the top and slide down. Hopefully in a flash flood.
Sharing's paying me for a little publicity here.
You're gonna lose your amateur status.
And you know, Vance are ill, Vance are nice.
Right.
It's good for running.
I was about 10 seconds late starting my watch. No, that was only about 5 seconds. See if you can spot Tom for me and tell me where in the crowd he is. Because with the camera I can't really tell too. Just holler if you see him.
There he is. Coming right by you.
I hate that part going down.
Panther!
I wanted to get everybody in here.
You doing it today, huh?
How would you like to be? I guess on the 24-hour track.
Oh yeah.
jump, Tom.
Go for it, man. Well, you're right. That guy looks good. Yeah. It's all full of bob out.
This is the fifth woman runner coming up. Good job on the hill, you guys. You look great. Water. Here she is, number 5 woman runner. And number 6 woman runner. And number 6. Water right around to the left. Nice job. 9th woman runner right here. 10th woman runner right here. Good job, ladies. Way to go, you guys. Y'all worked that hill real good. Water right around the corner.
It's downhill the rest of the way. I thought the cop was going to give you a ticket.
Yeah, halfway there.
You watch the films. You know, I let my shoelace got untied halfway. I had to tie up my shoelace. But it was okay. I felt a little bad. I never thought the 24-mile mark would come up.
Oh, really? How was it going?
Piece of cake.
You're going up as...
But it didn't stop once. My son helped me. Tommy, get in the picture. Come on, number 3. Come on and get number 3 in here. Come on. Number 3. He used to teach Tommy at Bellarmine, cross country. And,
Larry Eater, how you doing?
Larry Eater. And it's Bob Poring and his wife, Jan.
Hi.
Oh,
Well, I made it. Father and son coming.
yeah. The guy said, hey, both the same name. when they announced it.
Yeah, I said Davinsky.
Yeah, that's okay. They can call me anything they want as long as I make the race.
Oh, you were lucky. The weather held.
Perfect. Actually, it felt shorter than the last marathon we ran. The first 18 miles went fast.
That's because it's all windy.
You missed me, eh?
I missed you.
Hey, no good.
How come you're so quick?
Come on.
Remember Larry?
Larry Eater?
Oh, yeah.
How you doing?
How come you're so
Get in the
quick?
picture.
I wanna-
Come on, Kendra. Come on, Annette.
We were making cookies.
Yeah, that's good. We need them. The protein and combos. Bob, Kendra, this is Bob.
Hi.
And this is Jay and his wife. Kendra. And you ever met Annette? Annette, this is Bob, and this is Jan. Now we got the whole family here. And the corporation and everything. We got everything here. Good.
Oh, it's a movie camera.
No, wrong again.
No.
It's a video.
Video.
I thought they were going to go snap, snap. What time did you come in?
Oh, bad. We don't get around. We just peruse stuff.
That's because some good weather.
Yeah.
Here comes Jerry.
Yeah, we'll get him in the picture too. Come on, Jerry, kick it in! Kick it in, come on! Good run. 340. Right, Jerry, get in the picture.
You were 340?
Yeah.
I was here at 340.
What time were you talking? 340. How long ago was that?
About a half.
Yeah, come on. How long ago was that?
I don't know. What is the time now? Did you have it?
It's 3:42 now, so it must have been 3:30.
Maybe
Yeah,
3:30.
because I was here at 340.
Can you see it? Huh? That's what I came for. That's the only reason I ran this race, to get this t-shirt.
I see.